Hi everyone, Kevin here. Today I want to show you how you can completely customize your Microsoft Teams recording. And not only can you customize your recording, but you could also use this to stream to services like Facebook or YouTube. Now, typically when you want to record something in Microsoft Teams, you'll go up to the More Actions menu and you start your recording. What the recording looks like though is completely out of your control. Let's say, for instance, that you're a teacher and you don't want student videos to show up, or maybe you're a small business owner and you want your branding to show up behind the recording. Well, unfortunately, you're out of luck with the default recording option. Luckily though, today I'm going to show you how you could take complete control and customize what your recording looks like. Now, to be completely upfront, this is going to involve many different steps, but I'm going to walk through all of them step by step and hopefully make it as clear as possible. We're going to install an app called OBS. We're going to use this to arrange what the recording looks like. And then we're also going to install a plugin called NDI that'll allow us to interface between Teams and OBS. Lastly, you're also going to need admin permissions to be able to enable this. But don't worry, if you're not the admin, all you need to do is send this video to your admin and ask them to do it on your behalf, so it'll actually be even easier. Now, the best thing is if you follow this video all the way through, the reward at the end will be great and you'll have a completely custom recording of your meeting in Microsoft Teams and you can really make it look amazing. All right, well, enough talk. Why don't we jump on the PC and get started? Here I am on my PC, and as a very first step, we need to enable NDI streaming. For this step, you need an admin to do this. So if you're not an admin, reach out to whoever your admin is in your organization and ask them if they can enable this on your behalf. If you're an admin, I'm going to show you how you can enable this. Head over to the website office.com, and on office.com, click on Sign In. Once you sign in, you'll land on the authenticated page for office.com, and as an admin, you'll see a tile that says admin. Let's click on that. This opens up the Microsoft 365 Admin Center, and we want to go to the Teams Admin Center next. I have the Teams Admin Center over on the left-hand side of my screen. If you don't see it here by default, you can click on Show All. This will show you all of the different admin centers, and then let's click on Teams. This opens up the Teams Admin Center, and next we want to click on Users. When I click on Users, this will show me all the users within my organization. With NDI streaming, you can either turn it on globally for everyone, or you could define who has access to this. Let's say, for instance, you're turning this on in a school district. You might only want to turn this on for teachers. Or let's say you're turning this on in an organization. You probably only want to turn it on for people who will be managing broadcasts for your organization, and you can use policies to manage who has access to this. In my case though, I'm going to keep things simple and everyone in my organization has the same policy. I'm going to click on Kevin Stratvert and then View Policies. This opens up Kevin Stratvert, and here I could see all the different assigned policies. Once again, I just have one generic policy for my entire organization. I'm going to click on the one under Meeting Policy called Global Org-Wide Default. Within the global policy under audio and video, there's a new option now called NDI streaming. Let's go ahead and turn this on. NDI allows video-compatible products to communicate, deliver, and receive video from one another. Now, the easiest way is to picture one of your Microsoft Teams meetings. Each component of a meeting is a separate stream. So you might have the active speaker, you have everyone in the meeting who has their video turned on, you have the content that's being shared, you might even have together mode turned on. Each one of those will be a separate stream or a separate NDI stream that we can use to compose a scene. Once we install OBS, we'll define which streams we want to use. Now, this is all we need to do in the admin center. Once you do this, there's no longer a need for the admin to be involved. Now the individual user can take over and take it from here. Now that we have NDI stream enabled for this user, next we need to go into Microsoft Teams, and you no longer need the admin for this. Up in the top right hand corner, let's click on the profile picture, and within this menu, click on Settings. Within Settings, over on the left hand side, let's navigate down to permissions. Within the permissions view, you'll now see a new option for Network Device Interface, or NDI. The reason this appears is we enabled this in the Admin Center. If you just turned it on in the Admin Center, it might take a little bit of time before it shows up in Teams. I tried this yesterday and it took a few hours before it showed up. However, once you enable, you should see it appear in Teams, and let's now toggle this on. Next, we need to install OBS, and you can get OBS by heading to the website obsproject.com. You might be wondering, what is OBS? We're going to use OBS to compose and organize what our Microsoft Teams recording looks like. Now, aside from doing that with OBS, OBS is a fantastic screen recorder, and you could use it for live streaming on YouTube and Facebook. If you're interested in just the basics of how you could use OBS as a screen recorder, you could find a link in the description of this video. And one call out, I personally use OBS for all of my screen recordings. In fact, for this video that you're watching right now, I used OBS to record this. Now go ahead, choose the platform or the operating system that you're on, and install OBS. Once you finish downloading and installing OBS, the next thing we need to do is install the NDI plugin. Now, once again, the NDI plugin will interface between Teams and OBS, so all of your different streams within Teams can be used within OBS. And once again, with different streams, the active speaker, the content that's being shared, each participant in the meeting, you'll have a separate stream for each one of those, and you can incorporate them and compose what the scene looks like in OBS, and I'll show you in a moment how we go about doing that. But first off, let's click on Go to Download. This will bring us to GitHub, where we could download the plugin. Right down here, you need to choose the asset that aligns with what operating system you're on. So if you're on Windows, click on the Windows installer. If you're on Mac, click on the Mac OS installer, and go ahead and install the plugin. I'm now in a Microsoft Teams meeting, and it's an active meeting right now. There are a few different participants in the meeting. You can see their video down below, and yes, the Kevin YouTube channel is smaller than you'd think. This is just a stuffed animal for Nestor. It's just me operating this YouTube channel. Along with the participants, we can also see some content that's being shared. In the past, if I wanted to record this, I simply go up to the meeting controls on top, click on the ellipses for the More Actions menu, and then I can start the recording. Now, once again, the problem with recording this way is I have no control over how it looks. How do I customize it? We've installed all these different tools now. How do we take advantage of them to customize what our recording looks like? Well, let's jump over to OBS, and I'll show you how you can customize your recording using this meeting that's currently active. I now have OBS open, and once again, if this is your first time ever using OBS, I have a link in the description that'll show you how to get started and how you can use OBS as a simple screen recorder. Now, I want to build out my Microsoft Teams recording within OBS, and I have a big black or empty screen right here. This is going to be a blank canvas that we use to design how our Microsoft Teams recording looks. Now, first off, we need to add a new scene. A scene is simply a collection of different sources, and as we walk through this, you'll understand better what exactly it means, but we're going to arrange things within our scene. As a first step, let's click on this plus icon, and we need to create a name for the scene. I'm going to call this Custom Teams Recording. Once you type in the name, let's click on OK. This now adds a new scene for us, and we need to add some sources in here. First off, the black background is a little bit boring. I think I should customize this to make it look a little bit more interesting. Now, you could think of this as the background for your Microsoft Teams recording. Let's click on the plus icon, and I want to add an image background, so I'm going to go up to the option that says image and click on this. For this, I'm going to give it a more descriptive name than just image. I'm going to call this background. Once I finish typing, let's click on OK. This now opens up a prompt where I can select my background image. Let's click on Browse. This opens up the Windows file picker, and I have my background just sitting right on my desktop called Background for Teams. Next, let's click on Open. Here I see my background. That all looks good. Let's click on OK. It's now inserted my background onto my canvas where I'm composing what my recording will look like, but I want the background to use up the full screen real estate. I'm going to click over here in the bottom right hand corner of this red box, and I'm going to expand my background to use up the full screen. It's already looking a lot better than just that plain boring black background. Next, I want to add some text to my scene that explains what the audience is seeing here. To do that, once again, let's go down to sources and I'm going to click on plus. Within here, there's an option to insert text. I'm going to click on text. Here, I can name my text and I'm going to call this Kevin Stratvert's Classroom. In general, when you're creating new sources, give it a descriptive name so you know what items are what when you look at your list of sources. This looks good to me. I'm going to click on OK. This opens up properties for the text, and for the text, I'm going to type in Kevin Stratvert's Classroom. I could adjust the font if I want. I could also adjust the color, the opacity, the background color. I could even set a gradient if I want. I'm going to stick with the default though and click on OK. This inserts a text into my scene. I can click on the text and position it how I want. I'm going to make it a little bit smaller so it's not that big, and I want to center it. To center it, I could right click on this text. I can go down to transform, and I'm going to center this horizontally. Now this is all great so far, but how do we get the Microsoft Teams content into our scene? Well, let's go down to sources once again and click on the plus icon. On this list, you'll see an option for NDI source. By installing the NDI plugin, that adds NDI as a source on this list. If you hadn't installed the plugin, you wouldn't have this as an option. Let's click on NDI source. For this, I now need to define what I want to insert into my scene, and for this one, I want to include my video to start with, so I'm going to call this Kevin Video. Next, I'm going to click on OK. Now this opens up the properties for Kevin Video, and right here at the top you'll see an option for source name. When I click on that, I have lots of different things that I can select. I want to take a moment to walk through what these are. Now first off, there's an option here called MS Teams Local. This is my video feed from my computer. It's called local because it's local to my computer. The second one is the active speaker. Now, anytime someone is speaking in Microsoft Teams, Teams will identify who's speaking based on where the audio is coming from, and it'll focus on the active speaker. If we insert this one, it'll insert the active speaker into our scene. Also, I can select all of the individual participants and their video to show up in the scene as well. Here, for instance, I could choose Adele, or here I could choose Nestor, also known as Kevin's stuffed animal. And then at the very bottom, I have the option to insert whatever content is currently being shared or the shared screen. To start with, let me add my video and select local. Once I select local, I'm going to click on OK. That now inserts my video into the scene, and I could expand, I could adjust it, position it however I want. In fact, if I use the Alt key and click on one of the borders, I can even crop the video. So here I could crop it in, and maybe I don't want that Microsoft Teams logo to show up. I could crop it out, but I'll just leave that for now. And so there's my shot of myself. Now, once again, you get full control over where you position things and how they look. So I have my video in here now. I also want to show the shared screen. So to do that, once again, we're going to go down to sources. I'm going to click on the plus icon, and I'm going to go back to NDI source. For this one, I want to call it screen share. Next, I'm going to click on OK. Once again, this opens up the properties dialog, and under source name, let's click on the drop down, and this time I'm going to go down to MS Teams and select shared screen. Next, let's click on OK. This now inserts the shared screen onto my scene, and I can adjust this just like I did for the video. Of course, I want to make this a little bit bigger so people can see all the details, and I could position this wherever I want. So there I've now aligned them, and this is starting to come together. It looks pretty nice as a scene. Now, let's say that I'm jumping into my lecture and I want people to be able to see the content without my video on the side. I can also set up another scene. Let me quickly do that. Over on the left-hand side, under scenes, let's click on the plus icon. Within here, we're going to call this custom Teams recording screen share. Once we're done, click on OK. This now adds another new scene, and for this, I want the content to take up the full screen. I'm going to go under Sources, click on the plus icon, and once again, go up to NDI Source. Under here, I could either create a new NDI source, but I'm already leveraging my screen share. Let's click on Add Existing, and for this, let's click on Screen Share. This now inserts my screen share into the view. I'm going to expand this so it takes up the full screen, and let me position it so you just see the slide on the scene. Now with screen share, that'll share whatever content is being shared through Teams. Unfortunately though, if you yourself are the one sharing the content, you don't want to take the screen share via Teams. Instead, you want to click on the plus icon and you could just share directly from your computer. For instance, you could share your display or you could share a window, whatever you want. I'll do a quick example by sharing the window. When I click on window, I need to give it a name. I'm going to call this PowerPoint. Once I type in the name, let's click on OK. This opens up properties for the window, and I could choose what window I want to include. I'm going to select PowerPoint.exe and then click on OK. So here you see that I could also share content directly from my computer if that's what I'm going to be doing, but I don't have to go through Teams in that case because I could pull it directly from my machine. I'm going to delete this for now and simply go with the content that's being shared in Teams. This looks good to me. We're just about ready to start recording, but I want to call out one more thing before we do that. As we started adding all of these different NDI sources, you'll notice that more items got added to the audio mixer. For instance, here I see the Kevin video has audio associated with it, so anytime Kevin is talking, that audio feed is being sent. Here I see the microphone on my computer that I'm using to record this video, and then also if the screen share has any audio associated with it, it'll include that audio. Now, what I recommend doing is if you're just recording a standard Teams meeting, you likely just want to include the audio from the active speaker. You could experiment with this to find what works right. Now, for this example, I'm going to simply mute the Kevin video for now and the screen share for now, and I'm just going to use my main microphone hooked up to my computer. Now that we have everything all set, let's test this out and see how it works. Over here on the right hand side, I can click on Start Recording, and this is going to kick off a recording. So now a recording is active and I could say, hey everyone, welcome to Kevin's classroom. We've got some great content that we're looking at today. What I could do is over on the right hand side, I could click on the custom Teams recording screen share and I could shift my scene so now it jumps to the full screen slide. So this allows me lots of flexibility to customize what my recording looks like. And let's say we wrap up with the slide. I'm going to click on custom Teams recording again, and that sends me back to this main classroom screen. Once I'm done with the recording, I'm going to click on Stop Recording, and that completes the recording. Over on the top left-hand side under the File menu, I can view all my recordings by clicking on Show Recordings. This opens up all of my different recordings, and here I see the latest recording. I'm going to click on this and let's see how it turned out. So now a recording is active, and I could say, hey everyone, welcome to Kevin's classroom. We've got some great content that we're click on the slide. So this allows me. So there you can see the recording. It looks pretty good, and I've been able to customize exactly what I want to have appear within my scene. As you look at the file, by default, OBS saves it as an FLV file. If it saves as an FLV file, simply go up to the File menu, and then you could go to Remux Recordings. And here I could click on the ... I can select my recording, click on Open, and then click on Remux, and that'll convert it into an MP4. MP4 is something that's much easier to share with others. Now, using FLV is a good practice because if for whatever reason your recording fails halfway through, whatever was recorded up to that point will still be saved and you'll be able to use it, versus if you recorded directly to an MP4, you might lose the whole thing. However, if you just want to make things super easy and you don't want to worry about Remux, you can go up to the File menu, go over to Settings. Within Settings, click on Output, and then under Output, click on Recording, and you can change the recording format. So by default, it just records as an MP4. Although I would really go with an FLV. I think you have a little bit more security, especially if you're going to be recording a longer meeting and you don't want to lose it for any reason. Now, not only can we use OBS to do a simple screen recording, you can also use it to stream a Teams meeting to any other platform. For instance, let's say that you want to simul broadcast out to YouTube or broadcast out to Facebook or whatever streaming service you happen to be using. Within OBS, you can click on Start Streaming. It'll ask you for the various streaming details, and then the scene that you composed here, you'll stream that out, leveraging all these different feeds or NDI streams from Microsoft Teams. So it's pretty powerful in terms of how you can customize what your recording or what your stream looks like. All right, well, that was a first look at how you can completely customize your Microsoft Teams recordings. And not only can you customize recordings, you can also use this for streaming. There's lots of flexibility and control by using OBS NDI together with Microsoft Teams. If you found this video helpful and you now know how to completely customize your recordings, please give this video a thumbs up. If you want to see more videos like this in the future, hit that subscribe button. That way you'll get a notification anytime new content like this comes out. And lastly, if you want to see me cover any other topics in the future, leave a comment down below and I'll add it to my list of videos to create. All right, that's all I had for you today. I hope you enjoyed and I hope to see you next time. Bye.